They didn't just take my daughter. They deleted my entire existence. If you had told me 3 months ago that a person could lose their home, their marriage, their career, and their child in less than 48 hours without a single shred of physical evidence, I would have told you it was impossible. But I learned the hard way that in the modern world, your truth doesn't matter. What matters is what appears on a digital screen. IT started on a Tuesday evening when my husband Ethan played an anonymous video file. A video that showed my face, my exact expressions, and my unmistakable voice planning to commit a horrific crime against my own family. I screamed, I begged, I swore on my daughter's life that I had never spoken those words or even stepped foot in the location shown. But how do you look at your own reflection on a screen and tell the man who loves you that it isn't you? The destruction was absolute. My husband turned into a cold stranger. The police escorted me from my own property. My friends vanished overnight, and my corporate career was instantly terminated. I was thrown into a dark, frozen exile, stripped of my dignity, living in a decaying motel room while the entire world looked at me like a monster. For months, there was no light, no hope, just a mother drowning in a sea of helplessness, watching the legal system slowly seal her fate. Before I tell you the agonizing details of how my life was stolen and the dark, unexpected turning point that changed everything, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. And leave a comment below letting me know which country or state you are listening from. Let's go back to the very beginning, to the microscopic cracks that appeared before the nightmare began. I spent 5 years building what I thought was an unbreakable life. I was a senior financial branch manager at a prominent corporate bank, and my husband Ethan was a rising attorney. Together, we had a beautiful 4-year-old daughter named Maya. Our life was filled with chaotic joy, school plays, and lazy Sunday mornings. But outside our little bubble lay a toxic shadow, Ethan's family. Specifically, his sister, Chloe. Chloe was 32, unemployed, and entirely sustained by her mother's wealth. She was obsessed with the illusion of social media, constantly trying to curate a life of luxury on Instagram that she couldn't afford. She deeply resented my career, my independence, and the fact that Ethan had built a self-made life with me instead of staying under his mother's control. The tension exploded during a family dinner at my mother-in-law's estate. Her mother announced that a prime piece of commercial real estate was being officially signed over to Ethan and me, legally locked into a trust fund for our daughter Maya's future. Chloe's face turned into a mask of pure rage. She slammed her glass on the table, screaming that the property should have gone to fund her new digital media project. Ethan firmly told her that she needed to stop acting entitled and grow up. Chloe went completely silent. She didn't scream anymore. She just sat there, staring at me across the table with a cold, hollow look in her eyes. A week later, Chloe's attitude shifted dramatically. She became overly sweet, joining our family WhatsApp group chat with sudden enthusiasm. She started asking me for advice on financial planning, leaving long, drawn-out conversations, and constantly sending voice notes. "Emily, tell me again how you manage the corporate escrow accounts at the bank," she would ask in a sweet voice note. "And how do you handle Ethan when he gets stressed about legal trials?" I was busy with work, so I always replied with quick, detailed voice notes while driving or sitting in my office. I laughed, I joked, I complained about long hours, and I shared intimate details about our daily schedule. I thought we were finally bonding. I had no idea that every time my phone said recording audio, I was handing her the raw materials to construct my execution. It was a rainy Thursday evening when the trap snapped shut. I walked through my front door carrying groceries, humming a song, expecting to see Maya playing with her toys. Instead, the house was completely silent. The lights were dimmed. Ethan was sitting on the living room sofa, his head in his hands. Next to him on the floor were 3 of my suitcases, packed carelessly, clothes sticking out of the zippers. "Ethan, what's going on? Where is Maya?" I asked, a sudden cold knot forming in my stomach. He lifted his head. His eyes were red, filled with an intense, volatile mixture of hatred and profound betrayal. He looked at me as if I were a venomous snake that had crawled into his bed. "Don't say her name," he whispered, his voice cracking. "Don't you dare say my daughter's name. Ethan, talk to me. What are you talking about?" Without a word, he opened his laptop and pushed it across the coffee table. "Chloe received this in an anonymous email today. She sent it to me. She sent it to my mother. She sent it to your regional bank manager. He hit play. The video quality was slightly shaky, like a hidden camera hidden inside a button or a bag. The camera was pointed at a corner table in a local high-end cafe 3 miles from our house. Sitting at the table was me. I was wearing my favorite gray winter coat. I was sitting with a man whose face was obscured by a low baseball cap. In the video, I leaned forward, took his hand, laughed a cold, malicious laugh, and began to speak. Ethan is completely clueless, my voice said through the speakers. It had my exact pitch, my specific cadence, the slight rasp in my throat when I spoke quickly. His mother is signing the commercial property over to us next week. The moment my name is on that deed, I'm transferring $400,000 from our joint escrow accounts into the offshore shell company. I've already fabricated the domestic abuse journal. I'll call the police on him, get the restraining order, take Maya, and leave him with absolutely nothing. He's an idiot. The video cut to black. I stood there, the groceries slipping from my hands, crashing to the floor. The room felt like it was spinning at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Ethan, that isn't real. I screamed, my voice reaching a frantic, terrifying pitch. I swear to you, I have never been to that cafe. I don't know that man. I love you. I would never say those things. Stop lying, he roared, standing up and slamming his fist against the wall. It's your face, Emily. It's your voice. I've listened to you talk for 5 years. I know the way you breathe between sentences. You're a monster. You married me to ruin my family. Before I could speak, the front door opened. 2 police officers stepped inside. Behind them stood Chloe and her mother, holding Maya close to her chest. Maya was crying, screaming for me, but Chloe held her tight, looking at me with a face full of horror. But when Ethan turned his back, she looked at me and gave me a slow, victorious wink. Ma'am, the police officer said coldly, placing a hand on his belt. Your husband has filed an emergency protective order based on credible threats of child abduction and financial fraud. You need to step away from the child and vacate the premises immediately. The 2 months that followed were an exercise in human erasure. When a digital lie is perfect, the human brain refuses to believe the truth. The anonymous sender had leaked the video to my bank's compliance division. The next morning, I was called into the corporate headquarters. I wasn't even allowed to sit down. The vice president looked at me with pure disgust, handed me a termination letter, and had security escort me out of the building. My professional career, my reputation built over a decade, was dead. Then came the legal nightmare. Ethan hired the most aggressive family lawyer in the state. In the family court hearing, they played the video for the judge. I sat next to my legal aid attorney, sobbing, begging the judge to order a forensic investigation. But the judge was an older man who didn't understand the terrifying advancement of technology. To him, video was absolute truth. The evidence is clear, the judge announced coldly, slamming his gavel. The defendant poses an immediate, calculated flight risk with a minor child. Full temporary legal and physical custody is granted to the father. The mother is granted 1 hour of supervised visitation per week at the state social services facility. I was moved into a decaying, damp motel on the edge of the highway. The walls smelled of stale smoke and old paint. My bank accounts were frozen due to the pending fraud investigation Ethan had launched. I survived on my tiny remaining cash savings, eating instant soup, sitting on the edge of a stained mattress, staring at a blank wall for 18 hours a day. The pain of the supervised visits was a physical torture that tore at my chest. Once a week, I sat in a cold, white room with a social worker holding a clipboard, watching my every move. Maya would look at me with confusion, asking, "Mommy, why can't you come home? Aunt Chloe said you don't love us anymore." I had to bite my lip until it bled to keep from screaming in front of my daughter. I reached out to my childhood friends. Some didn't answer. Others sent cold, short texts. "We saw the video, Emily. We can't believe you were hiding that side of yourself. Please don't contact us again." I was completely alone, cast out of society, labeled a predator, a fraud, and a horrific mother. I looked in the motel mirror and barely recognized myself. I had lost 15 pounds, dark circles hollowed my eyes, and my spirit was entirely crushed. By the end of the 2nd month, the winter cold set in. I sat on the floor of that dark motel room, holding a torn drawing Maya had made for me a year ago. The dark thoughts crept in. There was no way out. The system had accepted the digital lie. The world had moved on without me. I closed my eyes, completely broken, ready to let the darkness swallow me whole. And then, at exactly 2:14 a.m. on a freezing, stormy Tuesday, someone knocked on my door. I didn't want to open it. I thought it was the motel clerk telling me my card had declined. But the knocking became frantic, desperate. I unlocked the deadbolt and pulled the door open. A young woman was standing in the pouring rain, her hoodie soaked, her entire body shaking violently. When she pulled back her hood, I recognized her. It was Sarah. She was a 24-year-old local freelance video producer and digital editor who occasionally made promotional clips for Chloe's social media. "Emily, please," she gasped, her teeth chattering, tears mixing with the rain on her face. "Don't close the door. Please. I can't live with myself anymore." I stepped back, my defensive instincts kicking in. "Sarah, what are you doing here? Did Chloe send you to take pictures of me? Get out." "No. No." Sarah screamed, collapsing onto her knees, right there on the dirty motel carpet, burying her face in her hands, sobbing hysterically. "I didn't come for Chloe. I came to save you. I'm the one who did it. Emily. I built the nightmare." The room went completely still, save for the roaring thunder outside. "What did you say?" I whispered, my voice dropping to a dangerous, icy tone. Sarah reached into her pocket with a trembling hand and placed a black, metallic flash drive on the small nightstand. "2 months ago, Chloe came to my studio," Sarah choked out, wiping her nose. "She told me that you were an abusive, manipulative woman who was planning to steal her brother's inheritance and kidnap her niece. She showed me altered text messages that made you look evil. She offered me $5,000 in cash to use my professional, enterprise-grade AI software to create a digital weapon." Sarah looked up at me, her eyes red and hollow with guilt. "I needed the money, Emily. My mother was sick, and I couldn't pay rent. I thought I was protecting Ethan and Maya from a monster. Chloe gave me hundreds of your WhatsApp voice notes from your family chat. I fed them into a premium voice cloning neural network until the digital voice matched your exact vocal resonance and breathing patterns. Then, I used a high-end AI video synthesis engine, mapped your face onto an actor sitting in that cafe, and manually synchronized the lips frame by frame. I added the security camera filter to hide the digital artifacts." Sarah grabbed my hand, her grip freezing cold. "But then I saw what happened to you. I saw that you were fired. I saw Chloe posting pictures online, sleeping in your house, driving your car, spending your daughter's trust fund money on designer clothes. I realized I hadn't protected anyone. I had helped a demonic, jealous psychopath destroy an innocent mother." Sarah pushed the flash drive into my hands. "Everything is in there, Emily. The original, uncompressed raw voice files Chloe stole from your chat. The exact text messages from Chloe giving me the script, telling me to make the AI voice sound greedy and abusive. The transaction history showing the $5,000 payment from her account. And a signed, legally binding, notarized confession from me. I'll go to the court, I'll go to the police, I'll go to prison if I have to, but please, let me help you take your life back." I looked down at the tiny piece of black plastic in my hand. For 2 months, I had been fighting an invisible ghost. Now the ghost had a name. It had a file size. It had a price tag. The crushing despair inside my soul instantly vanished, burned away by a roaring, volatile wave of absolute, unadulterated fury. The final custody determination and financial fraud review was scheduled for Friday morning at the county courthouse. Chloe and my mother-in-law sat on Ethan's side of the courtroom, looking like royalty. Chloe was wearing a brand-new Chanel suit, laughing softly with the high-priced attorney, completely confident that the judge was about to terminate my parental rights permanently. Ethan sat next to them, looking hollowed out, older, a man completely drained of joy, but still looking at me with cold distance as I walked in. They had no idea that Sarah Jenkins was sitting quietly in the very back row of the public gallery, flanked by 2 corporate cyberforensics experts I had hired using the last cent of my life savings. The judge leaned forward, looking through his papers. "We are here to finalize the custody and assets dispute in the matter of Sterling versus Sterling. Does the defense have any final arguments before I make my ruling permanent?" My attorney stood up, completely calm, and smoothed his jacket. "Yes, Your Honor. We have an extraordinary piece of new evidence and a vital witness to call to the stand. We call Sarah Jenkins." The moment Sarah stood up and walked toward the witness box, Chloe's smile instantly froze. Her eyes went wide with a sudden, suffocating panic. She gripped the edge of the mahogany table, so hard her knuckles turned white. Sarah took the stand, took the oath, and looked the judge dead in the eye. "Your Honor," Sarah said, her voice echoing clearly through the courtroom microphone. "The video evidence that this entire case rests upon is an absolute, laboratory-created forgery. I know this because I am the digital content producer who spent 40 hours compiling it. I was paid $5,000 in cash by Chloe Sterling to fabricate a deepfake video to frame Emily Sterling and destroy her marriage. Order! Order in this courtroom, or I will clear the gallery," the judge bellowed. My attorney stepped forward, plugging the black flash drive into the court's digital media system. "Your Honor, we are submitting the complete digital trail. On the screens, you will see the exact text logs from Chloe Sterling's phone to the witness, containing the precise script the AI spoke. You will see the original WhatsApp voice notes that were cloned, and the metadata proving the video was rendered on a workstation belonging to Jenkins Media, funded by a direct electronic transfer from Chloe Sterling. The giant monitors in the courtroom lit up with the undeniable, crystal-clear proof of the conspiracy. Ethan turned his head toward his sister. The expression on his face wasn't anger. It was a horrific, paralyzing realization. He looked at the screen, then looked at Chloe, then looked across the room at me. The woman he had thrown into the dirt, the mother of his child whom he had treated like a criminal for 2 months based on a digital lie. "Chloe," Ethan choked out, his voice dropping to a horrifying whisper. "What did you do? What did you do to my wife?" Chloe jumped out of her chair, her face contorted in a desperate, ugly scream. "She's lying. Emily paid her to fake those texts. It's a setup. Don't listen to her." "Sit down, Miss Sterling," the judge roared, his face flushed with pure fury. "Bailiffs, restrain that individual immediately." 2 armed security guards stepped forward, grabbing Chloe by the arms as she began to kick and scream, her expensive handbag falling to the floor, her luxury illusion shattering in front of the entire city. The judge looked down at the documents, his breath heavy with anger. "In my 30 years on the bench, I have never witnessed an act of such calculated, high-tech cruelty. To use artificial intelligence to systematically erase a mother from her child's life is an abomination." The judge slammed his gavel down with a sound like a gunshot. "I am immediately throwing out all prior orders. Full, unmitigated physical and legal custody of Maya Sterling is restored to her mother, Emily Sterling, effective this exact second. Furthermore, I am issuing an immediate bench warrant for Chloe Sterling for grand forgery, identity theft, suborning perjury, and malicious electronic defamation. Arrest her now." The legal fallout was a tidal wave that wiped the Sterling family completely off their high horse. Chloe was led out of the courtroom in handcuffs. Because her deepfake had successfully manipulated a state court proceeding and caused the illegal termination of a corporate bank employee, the federal prosecutors took the case. She was sentenced to 7 years in a federal correctional facility with 0 chance of parole. Her social media pages were wiped clean, replaced by an official public record of her criminal conviction. My mother-in-law, terrified of being implicated in the financial trail, was forced to liquidate the very commercial property that had started the jealousy, using the funds to pay massive civil damages to my legal team to avoid being sued into bankruptcy. As for Ethan, he became a broken man. He spent weeks outside my new home, leaving letters, crying, begging me to remember the 5 years of love we had before the video. He told me he was confused by the technology, but I looked at him through the same window where I once watched my daughter cry for me, and I felt nothing but cold indifference. "You promised to love me in truth and in sorrow, Ethan," I told him the day the divorce papers were finalized. "But the moment a computer screen told you to hate me, you forgot who I was. You didn't just fail to protect me, you joined my executioner. I took the massive divorce settlement, including our family home and a significant portion of his assets. I cleared my name with the regional bank, received a full formal apology from the board of directors, and used the compensation payout to start a non-profit foundation. Today, My firm works directly with tech forensic experts to provide free legal and digital defense for women and families whose lives have been targeted by deepfakes and AI manipulation. Maya's back in my arms. Every night, I tuck her into bed, and we listen to the real, uncloned sound of the wind outside. Chloe thought she could use a piece of software to rewrite reality and turn my life into a digital prison. But she forgot the most fundamental law of the digital age. Every lie leaves a footprint, and the truth doesn't need an algorithm to set itself free.